all of our special guests tonight, presenters. We're extremely excited about you guys being here tonight. This is the Cedar Rapids School Board meeting of Monday, April 24th, 2017. And again, with that, we'll call the meeting to order. Somebody like to read the approval of the revised agenda?
I move that the revised agenda of Monday, April 24th Board of Education meeting be approved as set forth, that each item is considered ready for discussion and/or action.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is a roll call.
Director Meisterling. Director Humbles.
Aye.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye. Right, the first items will combine. These are public hearings. BA 17301 is a public hearing for the 2017-18 boiler replacement project at Hoover Elementary School. And then we also have BA 17302. It's a public hearing for the 2017-18 restroom upgrade 2 projects at Jackson Elementary School, Harding Middle School, and Washington High School. Laurel, has there been any written correspondence about either of these?
No written correspondence has been received.
Great. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to approach the podium and discuss either of these in the public hearings? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close those two public hearings. Next, we'll have the superintendent's report. Dr. Buck?
So a few comments this evening. The first one is the public input sessions regarding our facilities master planning process were a success. We held those last week. There were 3 of them, 3 different evenings, and we competed with the weather a little bit in the best way, because it was a nice week last week, of course. But we had good crowds. We had community members, staff members, and also members of our committee. We're now inviting feedback from stakeholders through an online survey. That started on the 18th, I believe. Parents, employees, students, and interested community members can participate in our facilities input survey through April 28th. District parents and employees received a direct invitation through email, and other community members may share their thoughts by using the online link. Information from the spring input sessions and survey will further clarify the work of our Facilities Master Planning Committee as they continue their work, and I think that goes through October. Congratulations to the Jefferson High School Academic Decathlon team on placing 7th at the National Academic Decathlon Competition. It was held last week in Wisconsin. This is the second highest ever finish for a team from Iowa. The Academic Decathlon Competition focuses on the areas of art, economics, essay, interview, language arts, mathematics, music, speech, science, and social science, and all members of the 2017 Jayhawk team are graduating seniors. We want to remind you that the final day of classes for the 2016-17 school year will be Friday, June 2nd. This will be an early dismissal day for students. You may remember we identified this date as a makeup date following the flood emergency last fall. So again, last day of school for students, Friday, June 2nd.
There's a lot of smiles in the audience. I'm seeing it.
Another day, good. Just before our meeting, we had the opportunity to recognize our outstanding building volunteers for 2017 with a special celebration here at the ELSC. Our honorees included parents, retirees, and other community members who very generously share their time to support students and staff. From this Hall of Fame of volunteers, one was chosen to represent the group as the outstanding district volunteer for 2017. We're pleased to highlight the contributions of that individual with this video.
There are not enough of us that can do the work that needs to be done.
Volunteers in our classroom are super important because they are the meat of what helps us to do our job even better than what we're already doing it.
It takes more than what our staff has, and we're very fortunate to have the volunteers that we have.
The education volunteers in our Cedar Rapids schools expand a student's learning by their involvement. Thanks to our volunteers, students receive individual attention and develop better self-esteem. These caring role models are passionate about education and are committed to helping students succeed. 7,000 school volunteers contributed more than 137,000 hours during the last school year. Volunteers enrich the learning environment at all grade levels. We thank our generous volunteer workforce for their dedicated contributions of time and talent as we proudly introduce our 2017 Outstanding District Volunteer and Governor's Volunteer Award recipient, Tommy Fuchs.
Tommy is a machine. She comes in here every morning dropping off her children after she's already worked all night, and she is willing to take on any job or help that you need.
Amazing. Super mom, super woman.
Awesome. She's awesome.
She is popping popcorn like she's doing right now. She's passing out papers. She's bringing in supplies that you need. Whatever you need, Tommy's always there.
The PBIS breakfast came about from the PBIS team that wanted to have an opportunity to recognize children and include their parents in it.
How are you? Not too bad. We have French toast today.
Tommy says, well, I'll do it. Instead of spending $200 to $400 each month, it'll cost less than $50, and I'll cook it and I'll serve it, and that's all anybody will have to do.
It's good for the kids. It gives them something to look forward to. And it makes me feel like I'm giving back when all the teachers give to my kids all the time.
You're kidding me, right? Because we're talking anywhere from 40 to 60 people that she would be serving each month. She has done it faithfully every month, provided something different. Families have enjoyed it, the kids have loved it. Gives the teachers an opportunity to come and engage with not only their students and their parents.
To give back, to let the kids know that, you know, somebody else cares, and to help the teachers, because they are very overworked, as everybody knows. So if I can do one thing to make their day a little bit better, to see a smile on somebody's face, then my day is good.
We wouldn't be able to do half the things that the school does, especially for the students, without her, because without having her, these breakfasts wouldn't be prepared. The fun functions that she helps with on the PTA, she gets it all going. Without her, we wouldn't have that special time for the kids.
Knowing that the teachers have that help. So if I can give them just one moment where they're like, oh, I'm under control, I've got that, you know, somebody else is taking care of it, so they have that time to make sure that all those kids are engaging and learning and being taken care of.
I think Tommy's phenomenal, and I just appreciate everything that she does for both our staff and for our Nixon kiddos.
It's much needed. The teachers, they love the help. And like I said, it can be as little as 10 minutes, an hour, anything, just everything is needed.
Okay, those are my comments.
It is awesome. And
It is
I
awesome.
had the chance to visit Nixon the other day, and what an awesome school that is. So terrific. Are there any board reports tonight? Any comments? Gary?
A short legislative report. They're done.
Thank you.
Yeah. They did not act on the extension of SAVE. I behoove us on the board and the public to between now and the next session to talk with legislators, local legislators and those that we would be familiar with on why it didn't move forward. If there's, it's certainly something we'd like to see passed in this legislation, and if there are things between now and then that we can do to move that process. On another note, I attended last week Iowa's Association of School Boards, IASB, conference on navigating the collective bargaining through a time of change. It was a one-day conference out in Des Moines. There were, I believe, at least 350 representatives from districts, superintendents, school board members, district personnel that attended that, as we had several speakers lead us through the changes. I brought back a packet of material I'll certainly share with anyone that's interested. I think what I walked away from is that after 40 years of working through a process, everyone is in a mode of, they called it almost grieving, as you lose something and move through it, and those stages of grievance, it might seem trite to compare that to other forms of grieving, but in fact, I think it is on everyone's concern. So we learned some things on how to do it. There's still a big learning curve, and IASB will be sending out some model language and some more information as we move through. I think everyone anticipates a lot of legal challenges as we move through this new territory, so.
On a positive note, I will say, and Gary didn't quite explain this, but that save penny sales tax that's so important to us in Cedar Rapids, since we have this wonderful audience, that's the money that will come in and has continued to come in to do school improvements. So infrastructure, when we redid Kennedy, Washington, Jefferson high schools, the geothermal projects, new windows, roofs, heating, all of those sorts of things, pavement, a lot of that comes through that, as well as technology. So as we try and get the latest technology into our schools, all of that, or a majority of that, is coming through that penny sales tax. So again, that's why it's so critical as a community that we come together and do let our legislators know why we need that in Cedar Rapids, Iowa for our kids. So again, thank you, Gary, for mentioning that. Are there any other comments from the board? Keith?
Home rule did advance. Oh. And I'm bringing that up because we had a school board member, Ann Rosenthal, that worked years on that. And I think it will benefit our district. So
Terrific.
thank you, Ann, for all your work on that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other board reports or comments? I am excited. The academy that Dr. Ruth White coordinates is hosting their 11th annual tribute on Thursday, May 11th at 5:30 to 8:30. It will be at the National Czech and Slovak Museum, and I know several of us from the school board are planning to attend, and I think if anybody else would like to attend, just let Laurel know, and we'll try and get arrangements made for that. So that's always a great event for the year. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to communications, delegations, and petitions. And this is a time that's set aside for the board to hear comments about items of interest or concern from the public. And when I read your name, I don't know, do we have any?
No,
We don't have any, okay. So evidently, nobody wanted to speak to the board tonight. I was hoping there was something. So you know what? We're going to just skip this part. We'll shorten that meeting. How's that? Awesome. And no delegations or no petitions to present to the board. All right. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items in the consent agenda that the board would like to pull for further discussion or clarification?
John, can I just make comment about the couple of revisions? One, the personnel report has been revised, and that is at your desk this evening. And then the open enrollment denial has been removed from this agenda this evening.
And Gary, you have a question?
I have a question about BA 17303, and it's more of a generic, and I probably we'll just put it in our board agenda review. But my concern is that I think we need as a board to maybe have a discussion as we move through some of our Pebble construction projects. In light of, we're in the middle of this facility study. And I see a contract for $420,000 to do some boiler replacement at one of our sites. And I've known, it has nothing to do with the particular contract, the particular school. I don't want to start any side buzz about what we're intending to do. But in lieu of this report that will come out in the fall, and we start looking at overall facilities, I just on a fiscal responsibility wonder if we should have a look at these major projects in light of would they be impacted, or would the facility study impact those. I hate to be influenced by work that's already done on a site that would impact future use of that site. you get my drift on all of that. So, I think we'll continue with the agenda, but I'll put it on as a future agenda item that I think we just need to take an overall, not that some of this work would be done, but do we wait till we have some direction from the facility committee before we start? And I know some of this is timing. We want to do some of this work done during the summer when school's out and so on. I understand that. I'm just wondering if some of it could be put off a year. Done with my comments.
I would just say on the flip side of that, I understand the concern, but I also want to make sure that we're doing due diligence with the facilities and needs that we have at the current time, knowing that some of these facilities we're looking at, it could be a number of years to 20 years down the road before any of this happens. So again, if these are immediate needs, make sure that the students that we do have today have, this is for heating and hot water in the school, so I want to make sure that that's covered. But I do appreciate the comment, and I think it's worthwhile for further discussion, so.
Certainly part of that discussion.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. And other comments or anything about the consent agenda or the revisions that were made to the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, this requires a motion.
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. And this is roll call due to the revised personnel report and other revisions.
Director Humbles.
Aye.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Meisterling.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye, thank you. Next, we'll move into a section of human resources and the 2017-18 terms and conditions of employment for the Local 238 chauffeurs, teamsters, and helpers transportation at Local 497 Chicago and Midwest regional workers. Rod, do we have any comments about the contract? Or?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. We, over the last couple of months, or actually several weeks, held negotiations with both of these employee work groups, and they were great sessions that both parties showed up to the table willing and ready to negotiate. And we believe that we have great settlements, and actually they appreciated the fact that we were able to go above the state allocated amounts, and so we again appreciate the relationship that we have with both of these organizations.
Terrific. Thank you for all of your work on helping accomplish those. This human resource item does require a motion and a second. Do I hear a motion for passing this?
So move.
Second.
This is a roll call vote as well.
Director Westerkamp. Aye. Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Meisterling. Director Humbles.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye. Great. And next, the fun. We are going to move into our work session. The board absolutely loves this time to have a chance to learn about what's going on in our district and to think about how we can always make improvements. And with that, I'll turn it over to Val Dolezal, who works with our elementary program.
Thank you, President Laverty and directors of the board. I appreciate being here tonight with this wonderful crowd. You are going to hear some wonderful things. I want to just start with just some kind of a little bit of history and a little bit what's been happening in the last actually few weeks. In the fall of 2015 was the first opening of our first magnet school in elementary, which was Johnson STEAM Academy. And then this last fall, we also opened our second elementary magnet with our Kenwood Leadership Academy. Both of those schools are here tonight. Along with our magnets, we have many other innovative programming that is happening. Obviously, Iowa Big has been a big piece of the work we've done in Cedar Rapids, Roosevelt Option, Jefferson Blended, Franklin Kite, and other innovative opportunities for our students have been happening over the last several years. As you know, last year we did apply for the magnet grant. Didn't get it. But on April 10th, I submitted a lot of pages for our grant that is going to total just about $15 million over the course of 5 years. So what would that grant mean? What does that mean for us as a district when we get it? Because we will get this grant. The grant will allow us to expand our magnet options even further. It's going to allow for the expansion of Iowa Big to serve 11th and 12th graders. It's going to expand our blend ed to serve 9th and 10th graders, and those will be choice options to families. We also will have Roosevelt and McKinley opening as the magnet middle schools, and Taylor Elementary and downtown Montessori will be our final elementary additions. Regardless of the grant, we are going to move forward with the opening of the Roosevelt Creative Corridor Business Academy this fall, which we're very excited about. And there are plans for expansion both at Blended and Iowa Big. But we also are starting to work in the future, and so we need to think about getting Taylor moving, and hopefully that program will open in the fall of 2018, and McKinley Middle School is our second middle school in the fall of 2019. We also know Magnet is not the only piece that could be innovative. There are a lot of other things that can happen, and that's what you're going to also hear tonight, is that we have Franklin Kite here, as well as Nixon is here to talk about blended learning and how that looks. So you are going to hear some amazing things tonight. I think it's going to be great to have kids tell us their story, and I think that maybe there might even be a few parents in the audience to tell their story. And each school has prepared a presentation for you tonight so that both you and the community can learn more about what we're doing in Cedar Rapids around innovation. I believe you're going to hear about how administrators and teachers are driving innovation by allowing teachers the time and space to develop those ideas. Whether it is a magnet school or an innovative program or an innovative concept, teachers are improving programming and practices for improved outcomes for our students. So with that, we're going to start with Johnson STEAM Academy.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Thanks so much for having us. I am actually going to talk very, very briefly because I think the people that tell the story are best are our students. So tonight we brought along with us Cassidy Rankin, our magnet coordinator, and some of our most extraordinary fifth graders. I don't like to brag, but I do think we have the best in the city because that's just how I am. So we have Byron, Ella, Morris, and Zoe with us tonight who are going to give you the majority of the presentation. So with that, I just wanted to pull up our, and I'm going to have to make sure I know how to do this one. There we go. I just wanted to pull up our mission and vision, and I'm really, really proud of the work that our staff has done on that. We really are all about thinking outside of the box and trying to be creative, and it makes me really proud that I feel like we see a lot of connections between the district's new vision around Every Learner Future Ready and the theory of action work that's taking place. So I'm going to turn it over quickly to Cassidy, who's just going to go over through some brief data, and then you'll hear from our kids.
Thank you. So we have the opportunity to share some data with you. We administer our student engagement data, survey 3 times a year to students in grades 1 through 5. The survey is intended to assess student efficacy, engagement, and interest, and it provides us with meaningful feedback that we use to drive our instruction and really share our STEAM story. So specifically, we see a growth in core subject areas of English, language, arts, and science, and those are specific mentions in the students' feedback. It's not a checkbox. They have to type it out like, this is my favorite thing about school. And then we also see magnet programming such as Discovery Days, the STEAM Lab, STEAM Enrichments, ST Math, and some other magnet programming as some of their favorite things at Johnson. This is some more information. We believe that by explicitly focusing on soft skills or 21st century skills of creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and flexibility and adaptability, that they're going to transfer to our students. So we know that this will increase student efficacy and achievement. So we notice our students are most likely to challenge themselves with difficult tasks. And so some of our students will talk about some of the learning that they've had this year at Johnson. And then this is a lot of numbers on this screen, but this is important to us because as a neighborhood magnet school, students come to Johnson if they live in the neighborhood. Anyone can enroll. But then we also have students who are accepted through the magnet school lottery. These magnet students live in various attendance zones throughout the district and in other districts as well. Since becoming a magnet school in 2014, enrollment has increased each year. We see an increase in magnet school schools students accepted by the lottery, as well as neighborhood attendant students who are electing to stay. So if you can see in 2014-15, started at 326, and today actually it's not on there, but we're at 403. So currently 10% of our students were accepted via the magnet school lottery. Another 9% of students are on a continuation, so that's where they were neighborhood attendance zone, but they moved out, but we do everything we can to keep them at Johnson. So roughly 19% of our students are considered magnet students at Johnson right now. And then these are the data from the magnet school lottery from 2015 and 16. We're currently in the process of finalizing the magnet school lottery for 17-18. So we don't have those finalists to share, but we can say that the interest in magnet schools continues to grow. And so we're really excited for the growth that we'll have next year. We are going to accept 24 students to Johnson next year. So, and with that, the fifth graders will tell you more about what they learn and do at Johnson.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
Sorry, I was playing with my paper earlier.
Oh, it's good.
I am Byron. I love that we use the engineering design process at school. We get to do hands-on learning that teaches us about having an idea and making it grow, like kindling a fire. It works like clockwork, going from one step to the next, to the next, to the next, then back to the first. Our teachers guide us through the process to create and improve our ideas. This process supports our learning because it challenges us to continually improve.
Awesome.
My name's Ella. We also get to use the design process in our project-based learning at JSA. On Discovery Days, we get to go to different classes based on our interests. This year during Discovery Days, I have participated in sewing, an art class where we made flowers. We visited KCRG to learn how to make a professional newscast, and electric painting where we use Makey to create circuits to control the computer with our artwork. We get to explore through project-based learning. We have the STEAM lab where we have lots of resources to use in our different projects.
Hi, I'm Zoe. We are able to integrate technology into our everyday learning. With the technology, I feel like the learning possibilities are endless. In some of the younger classroom, students have learned to use QR codes during reading rotations to support their learning. As a fifth grader, I use stop motion and iMovie to show my learning during our PBL experience on natural disasters. In every classroom at JSA, you will find students using technology to help them grow and learn.
Hi, my name is Morris. One way we use technologies to support our learning is through SC Math. SC Math is a fun and exciting way to learn math. We learn math through a game-based program. We help Gigi get across the screen. We learn at our own pace, and it's help us see what is happening in a math problem. Rather than memorizing how to solve it, SC Math is a fun and at the same time educational. SC Math challenged me to grow. I don't normally like math, but I do like learning with SC Math.
So we're very honored to be asked to have our kids tell our story tonight, and if you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to entertain those now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Candy. Are there questions? I mean, it is a work session, and we definitely want to thank Byron, Ella, Zoe, Morris, Cassidy, thank you, and your wonderful principal as well. So thank you, guys. And again, during the work session, if the board has questions, feel free to jump right in. All right.
So next we'll have Kenwood Leadership Academy, and so that group will come up next.
Hi, welcome, guys. Nice to have you.
Find the button so I can lower in a few minutes. Hello, I'm Jillian Schulte. I'm our magnet school coordinator at KLA. We're about 8 months into our journey as our first year as a magnet school, and I mean us, meaning all of the adults that walk through our doors every day, our community and family members, and our awesome students. So we are learning about the habits, the paradigms, and principles of leadership all together. And there are so many connections between our district's theory of action and the work we do at KLA. So I'm going to hand it over to our kids right now because they really do tell our story the best, echoing Candy and Val's words. So I'm going to hand it right over to them.
Hi, my name is Shelby Nova. Shelby and I am in 4th grade at KLA. Going to Kenwood Leadership Academy makes me feel excited to get out of bed and come to school because I get to come to a school that I love. It also makes me feel like a leader because my teachers are teaching me about the 7 habits, and the 7 habits help me to be a leader. I like to talk about the 7 habits because they are a very important part of our school. The leader in me is a foundation in learning about leadership. Students and teachers are continuously learning to live the habits, and there are many ways the habits have made a positive impact in our school's culture and climate. In a recent survey with 339 responses, 90% of students agreed or strongly agreed that they like school and enjoy coming to school. Our teachers also love coming to school. In November, staff attendance improved by 18 absence, and when last polled in March, had improved by more than 30 as compared to last year.
Hi, my name is Mallory. I am a lottery student in 4th grade at KLA. KLA makes me feel more confident about myself because of the habits. The habits help me with owning up to myself and being who I really am. The habits also help me with lead my school learning through goal setting. I choose my goals and action steps that will help me reach my goals. We have learned that goal setting is an important part of our Leader in Me journey and helps us be leaders in our learning. In our first 5 months at KLA, students collectively met 1,473 individual, personal, and academic goals. On the Winter Parent Perception Survey, 97% of parents indicates that their students has shared personal and academic goals that they have set with them, and 98% of parents indicate that they have seen a positive impact on their students' ownership of learning, thoughts of school, and outlook for their future.
Hello, my name is Michaela, and I'm in 1st grade. At KLA helps lead with the 7 habits. The 7 habits help me learn by learning them and doing them. Be proactive helps me the most in my life. It means you're in charge of you. I use my leadership skills to teach. I taught professionals at Van Meter Inc. and Rockwell Collins about choosing your own weather. I choose to be sunny. It makes other people feel sunny too. We also use our leadership skills to give back to people in need. When we find ways to help others, it makes us feel good. We have completed many community projects this year. Some of these include collecting needed items for Cedar Rapids Animal Care and Control, Lynn County Food Bank, Books Without Borders, Volunteers for the Flood Recovery, and raising over $2,000 for a KLA family in need.
Hi, my name is Aiden. I am in 4th grade at KLA. KLA empowers everybody, not just a few, to do their best even though they might be from a different culture, race, or come from families that might not have as much money. KLA gives all kids chances to show what they can do. It doesn't matter what age, everyone can show that they are a leader, and even some students are in leader roles and show what they can do. For example, I am a leader on the cleanup crew. In my leader group, we use think, win, win, and seek first to understand to make sure that everyone has a voice and a part to do. Our teachers do a great job of reteaching us when we need support with our behavior. This year, even though we have increased our overall enrollment by almost 100 students as of March 2017, we have had 123 fewer office referrals as compared to the same point in time during our 15th through 16th year. The percentage of students with office referrals that identify as non-Caucasian continues to decrease. This data is a huge celebration for all learners at KLA.
Hi, my name is Shacey and I am in 5th grade at KLA. KLA empowers my creativity and passions by giving us a chance to use our Leader Lab and work together in groups to solve problems. It also helps with my passions because I get to do the things I'm interested in, such as getting to help with the school store and the announcements. Even the teachers at KLA engage in hands-on professional learning as if they were students. This year, the CAF at CLA experienced maker challenges, led professional learning in their passion areas, and continue to discuss the mindset in making and designing while applying the 7 habits.
Hi. My name is Ephraim, and I am in 1st grade at KLA. KLA has empowered me through my teachers. They have given me the support and push that I need to take study-able learning. They help me set goals and help me believe that I can improve. All of our students track and display their learning. This is how much we care about learning at KLA. 399 out of 409 AK to 5th graders made good on their FAST assessment from fall to winter. I made growth, and so did 97% of the students at KLA. We are all proud to be leaders at KLA.
Leader, you're a leader. We're all leaders at KLA.
John, I had, and I believe you also had a chance to visit earlier in the year, Kenwood. One of the outcomes that I don't think that was covered in your presentation that I think is very positive is that the students learn to care for each other and to help each other out. And it was very evident when I visited, when I saw kids interact undirected by adults, and I think we saw an example of that just now with students helping students. So,
Yes.
A great program, and congratulations too.
So I had a chance to stay and work in the art classroom for half of a day, and we had so much fun doing art. And I'm curious, what is your favorite class at KLA? What's your favorite period of the day? Do you guys have favorites? Yeah. Gym, okay. Yep, gym is always good. Yep. Small group meeting? Reading, got it. Cool. Yeah. Lunch and recess, that's always a good one. Absolutely, we all need that break. Go for it. Yeah. Math, terrific. How about you, young man? Jim, all right. Is there somebody in the back too that wants to? Okay. Music, absolutely, love music. Thank you guys so much. I tell you, we're very, very proud of all that you're doing. We had great student leaders take Mr. Anhalt and I on tours of the building when we arrived, and it really did mean a lot to me, and I know to Mr. Anhalt when we had that opportunity. So thank you again so much.
Okay, with that, we're going to move forward now with some innovative programming, and the first is our Franklin Kite program.
All right, I think that's enough. Good evening. Thanks for letting us come here. My name is Lucas Potacek, and I'm the principal. It's my 3rd year at Franklin Middle School, and I'm excited to have us join us with one of our 2 teachers as part of the Kite program, as well as one of our 52 students. And they're going to be doing the majority of the talking as far as what it means to be an instructor as well as a student as part of Kite. Kite stands for Knowledge, Inquiry, teamwork, and exploration. And we sat here last year talking about a hypothetical program that is now reality. After visiting schools and after doing some different research as far as our team, and we looked at a cross-curricular approach to learning. And we wanted to provide an opportunity and an option for our Franklin attendance area families, and an alternative approach to the structure of middle schools. Now, during my tenure on this earth, middle school structure has changed very little. So we wanted to provide a different opportunity for our families that were interested, and 52 out of our 210 sixth graders at this point are part of Kite. We wanted to provide fewer transitions, as well as longer learning blocks, and a flexible approach to time and instruction. So with me tonight is Amanda Boyer, who again is one of our 2 teachers, and then Kaylee Keeney, who is going to give you firsthand knowledge as far as what it means to be a student as part of the Kite program. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to them, and this is just some reflective words that our teachers and students have as far as what it means to be a student in the Kite program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Amanda Boyer.
Thanks. Hi, welcome.
Hi. I'm Amanda Boyer, and I was reflecting about what has changed in my instruction. So my daily instruction has changed. My units and my days are now planned with more choice, differentiation, and instruction built in. I can plan lessons with varied outcomes and flexible ways to get there, offering students different paths to achieve the same standards as any classroom in our building. Students have transformed how they think of education. The Kite classroom allows for the flexible grouping. I can work with multiple learners in one setting, while others forge ahead and still others are practicing an area they need more time with. Students are put into situations and experiences that they need to make choices based on their learning styles, what works for them for that day, for that activity. For example, currently 53 of the students have selected completely different topics for a global project. Students complete reading and writing and research, but then come together to collaborate on their project. Even within their presentations, they all look different depending on the platform and the standards they're using to show their learning. Another way my instruction has changed is with Passion Project Friday. Each Friday, students come in and they have choice and freedom with the topics that they are digging into. Some of them are looking at cooking. Last week we had soup being made, we had gardens being planted. Some students were coding, others were painting. Some were creating with Legos, some were creating with electricity and motors, and yet others were using the technology to research. They take ownership of their learning and ideas and figure out how to show their teachers that. One thing I did not expect to change about my instruction in Kite is the way we make relationships and maintain those relationships. Students come to us with many problems, more than we had normally when we saw students for 45 minutes. We know students beyond that because of the time constraints were taken away, and we're able to build deeper relationships and know more about them due to their project choices and classroom choices. Ultimately, John and I, my co-teacher, try to be facilitators. Our goal is, at the end of the day, to give them tools in the classroom that they will use this year, next year, and in the 21st century. And next, Kaylee.
Thank you.
I'm Kaylee, and if I was asked to describe Kite, the first thing... I'm Kaylee, and if I was asked to describe Kite, the first thing that comes to mind is how involved with things we are. Not only do we get to experience things that we wouldn't ordinarily experience, but we get to take things to the next level. For example, we're currently doing our global project unit, and instead of just learning about our topic, we get to interview people and see that from their point of view, and even research a solution so that we're even going deeper and more in depth into the project. We start out by just reading a book that has characters who are going through real-world problems such as hunger, poverty, or lack of education. Then we take our knowledge from that and transfer it into blog posts that we were posting from kids from all over the world, so education is spread out. And eventually a final project to show our learning throughout this topic. What I've noticed about Kite is that if you're having trouble with something, the teachers do spend quality time helping you to understand it, and if you are understanding what's happening, then they will let you take your learning farther and keep going. It's a mix of how we learn because we can work independently with groups and partners, so we're mixed around with all different types of kids. Kite is a very innovative program and has grown a lot since the beginning of the year, and I can't wait to see how it progresses throughout my time at Franklin.
Thank you, Keely.
I should have closed up my remarks before she started, so can't follow that, but we're excited to see where Kite goes. Right now, we're in the application phase. We're having room for 55 more students. What we're looking at is a multi-grade cross-curricular approach as we come next year. A combination in a classroom built up of 6th and 7th graders working together and also working separately by their grade levels. So we're excited to see how it goes. We're excited the fact that Kite, the 52 students, has an equal representation of our building population by the choice of those families. So we're excited to go. We always welcome visitors to see how this has impacted the future of education. And in particular, we appreciate the work of our hard-working 2 teachers as well as the students. So thank you very much for offering us the opportunity to do this.
Absolutely. And do we have any questions? Any of the Franklin folks?
Kaylee, what's your passion project?
Well, we have, we're able to do different ones. Currently, I love Harry Potter, so me and my friend are, instead of just talking about it, we're researching into more how in the movie they do the effects and how that's
Up to the microphone. Here we go. Now that you've just about finished.
we're doing more of the effects and the special effects and how J.K. Rowling took that and made it into movies and how she wrote in such depth with her imagination and turning that more into all about how they made it come to life.
Wow. All right.
Awesome. And Lucas and Amanda, just thinking about what you're doing in your classroom, are there things that you see that we as a district could move this into other classrooms or that other teachers could learn from what you've learned in this process?
I already used many of the strategies in my normal 45-minute classroom, but with Lucas taking away some of the constraints of the time period and just the way my co-teacher and I work together as well, putting 2 people on the same 55 students makes a huge difference. So every day we spend our planning, debriefing our personal lessons, what did we see, strengths and weaknesses. It also allows us to take those 55 kids and split them however we need to split them. If he needs more time on science, or if I need more time for something, he could take one whole day and do a science lab, and he does sometimes. And I can take chunks of time. So many great things are happening in every classroom and will continue to happen. But by some of the constraints that have been put there year after year, we're able to make small changes and see big differences with our classroom community and the environment.
I'm wondering too, as you look at this, so we have the Iowa Core and we have common sort of standards set in the district. Has that made this possible? Or, I mean, if we didn't have standards to follow and you're trying to do all these different things, integrate math and science and writing and all those, could we still do this if we didn't have those standards to kind of follow probably?
And those standards are really going to come into play next year as we try the cross-curricular and cross-grade level approach. So I know this group of kids really well. I know exactly where I want to start next year. I've already started mapping out my year because I know what the standards are and I know where these students are. So I think the longevity of sticking with the student and sticking with the core. So absolutely, I mean, the core drives everything, and it really is the way we measure and really reflect on what we need to do differently and where we need to get those kids.
And without the standards, there's no target for instruction, so they know what the target is, they know what the assessment should be, and when planning for it. And we're excited, we're only 150 some days into the Kite program, but all data that we show, all the metrics we use as far as looking at Power School, grades, attendance, and referrals, all of those are improvements when in comparison to the other 6th grade cohorts.
Terrific. Any other questions? Thank you all so much for that.
Okay, and then with our final presentation from Nixon Elementary, we're going to hear about some innovative options that they're providing for students to access their learning.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me come speak to you today. I've got a couple of colleagues here with me too, so if questions come up, they can definitely come answer because they're the ones in the trenches doing the work that I'm going to describe today. My name is Jenny Gable. I'm the IDS at Nixon. And I'm here to talk to you today about blended learning. And I think there's some misconceptions about what blended learning is. And so I want to kind of describe it in simple terms. Blended learning is not just sitting in front of a computer all day long. I think parents sometimes worry about too much screen time at school. And we're a really great example of a mix of really effective masterful teaching paired with online technology to help support student learning. So my classroom teachers do such an incredible job of direct instruction, and when students aren't with those teachers, they can go back to their desks and work with partners or independently on computer programs and independent assignments to really target the needs of those kiddos. So blended learning really is more than just computers and bringing technology into the classroom. It's how teachers masterfully use those technology tools with their teaching every day. So at Nixon, we have all of our AK through 5th grade teachers blending this year. We're part of a pilot. What's great about the blended pilot is that we even have some of our specials teachers trying out some of this blend in their art room and their music room, and it's really neat to see the students engaged in different ways in those content areas as well. We're all at different places on our implementation of blend, but we're all learning and trying to do better for students because we see that this really is a way to prepare students for jobs that don't even exist yet, and this is one way of getting at that. We also notice that, we'll show you some data here in a minute, some significant implications for student learning and student engagement, and that's really exciting for us when we look at our mid-year data, and we're really energized to look at the end of the year data here in a couple of weeks to see if what we predict will happen will continue to happen. So that's, okay, thanks. I didn't bring any students with me today, but I did take a video of a couple of them talking about what they really enjoy about our blended environment at Nixon. Maybe.
So what I like about modules is that it's like a video and it tells more about the assignment that you do. On the iPads, I love doing math games. They are so fun. It doesn't take skill to just click on a link and then go to it and then play the game. I like the service pro because you can do Genius half hour and you can write a story about anything and you can edit it. Like to go on campus to watch some videos and do math games. What I like about the video is that we get to watch the video and then we get to play the online game for 10 minutes. Well, I like math because I like doing the video before the assignment or quiz because it helps me understand what it is. How you can like type and read with the whole room and then you can see what everyone else wrote and it's really fun to like type and learn about and then she like asks you questions and stuff.
So in blended learning, there's a lot of different models of blend, and we utilize pretty much two at Nixon. We use what's called a playlist, and that's one that teachers are really starting to prefer. With a playlist, students are basically given a to-do list of things they need to do and accomplish during a time when they're not receiving direct instruction from the teacher. And what's great about a playlist is teachers can really differentiate the types of activities they have on that playlist. So if I'm excelling in math, my application and my practice in math will show that on my playlist, where if I need a little bit of remediation and reteaching, my playlist might look a little bit different. And with a playlist, students are able to create their own path and pace for learning. Basically, that means that students get to pick what they want to work on in whatever order they choose, whatever fits them best. And then they get to spend as much time or as little time on those tasks as they need. And so that's really inspiring to us, and that drives us with this version or model, because students are really self-directing their learning, which when you're thinking about future-ready students, that's really an important skill as adults that some of us lack, so this is something we're able to work on with them. And we have another video here from a math third-grade classroom of a station rotation model, so I'll kind of talk you through this. What you're seeing here first is flexible seating. That's something very different than what we experienced growing up. You've got students picking a place that they're comfortable learning. You've also got students on technology tools and devices where they're working on adaptive software programs like Dreambox, and then they're also working on teacher-created modules and assignments, and teachers are even creating their own digital content and videos to teach students as another dose of instruction. You have students working on more traditional paper pencil, and you've got your teacher at the back table differentiating her instruction, and groups just rotate through each of those stations based on like their 15-minute rotations. So that's another model that we utilize quite a bit, and that works really, really well, especially at our primary levels, which is a lot of what primary teachers already do when they instruct. All right. So why do we blend at Nixon? We're really excited about it because not only does research support blended learning, we are hitting small group instruction, differentiated instruction, and we're utilizing technology to engage students, which all is supported by research. And we originally started this pilot sort of as like, hey, we might as well try it out. We'll see if we can do it and maybe we'll like it. And it turned into the way we just do business at Nixon now. We have tied it into our school improvement plan and the way that we run our staff meetings and our professional learning as well. And we're going to look at some data now to show what our math midyear looked like at 2 grade levels. Now, 2 different grade levels, 2 different sets of standards, but what you're looking at here basically is you've got the blue line, which is Nixon, and the orange line, which is every other elementary in the district. On the left-hand side, you've got our teachers that were blending all year long in a grade level from day 1. And on the right-hand side, you've got a grade level that hadn't quite gotten there in math yet by midyear, which was in January. On the left-hand side, you can see our blue data points are consistently above the district average. And then on the less blended side, we're consistently below the district average. And we think that by the end of the year, now these grade levels that hadn't quite gotten there yet, they're going to start blending more. They've started already. We're expecting their data to be above the orange as well to show some improvement. And then we'll take a closer look at individual teachers. Now, the teachers, this is 2 different classrooms, 2 different grade levels, and both of these teachers are some of our best teachers at Nixon. They are masterful and fantastic. They differentiate. They're incredibly impressive teachers. The big difference here that you'll notice is that the teacher on the left who blends every day has a lot of green, and green is good here because green means that students have mastered those skills. And so on the left-hand side, you've got a lot of green. All of those standards had been taught by January and the students had maintained that learning through the work they'd done in class. On the right-hand side, you see a little bit less green. We're not quite sure what they'd been taught and what they hadn't been because not a lot has been mastered by students. Both highly effective teachers, both very good at their job, just 2 different ways of instructing. And again, we're thinking that this data proves that this blended learning can really benefit students in their learning and engagement. All right, so how do we, my principal is supposed to be here today with me, and she couldn't make it, but how do we support Blend? We provide professional learning on Fridays, and I have to make an aside here. Those Friday professional learning days have been invaluable to us. If we had not been able to meet every single Friday with teachers to just take little bites of learning every single week, there's no way we could be as far along as we have. So thank you for that opportunity, and thank you to the community, because this has made a huge impact on our staff. We provide differentiated options for our staff as well. So we have 3 different options. What do you want to learn about today? X, Y, or Z. Staff pick what they want to learn around, and they go and do some learning. And then we always provide application time so that when we look in their classrooms the next week, we should see that in their classrooms. And then we also use our observation and feedback cycle. This is something we've been doing for several years, and ours is a little tighter now on Blend. So the principal and I, we go in and we make weekly observations, we give targeted specific feedback to staff, and then we do a little bit of co-planning around just a tiny little bit of learning that we've done either on Fridays or from our conversations, and that's made a really big impact on our implementation of Blend as well. So at Nixon, we are super intentional about our blend. We are purposeful when we choose the activities we blend, and we do it frequently. And in fact, if you walked through our classroom, which anybody's invited to walk through our school to come see, it's really impressive because at any point during the day, you'll see blended learning in action from kindergarten, AK, even some PK some days, all the way up through 5th grade. And we have found that it has been super successful with engaging students and with our data as well. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I had some staff here that are actually, like I said, in the trenches doing this, if you have any questions for them as well.
Absolutely, Jenny. Do you have questions about the blended education program?
Pretty impressive stuff that's going on in the district. It was so nice to have everyone come and speak. So I thank each and every one of you, especially our young leaders and future leaders. You guys did a great job.
Absolutely. And I had the chance to visit Nixon as well, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Oh my gosh, you know, the board asked for data. We want data to help understand what's working for student achievement and best outcomes. And for all of you, Nixon, all of the schools, that is so helpful that you're tracking that. Hopefully our new data system that we just purchased will make that even better and easier to understand. So we're looking forward to that. But the board has been very encouraging of trying to innovate over the years and since I've been on here as a board member. And we're so proud to see all of this coming to fruition and learning what are the best practices. So, and again, I think Mrs. Humble's, her remarks were absolutely right on. You students are just amazing, each and every one of you, what you're doing every day and going to school and working with your teachers and your parents. And those volunteers, we just thanked our volunteers tonight. I know that you all have volunteers in your schools, so thank you again, and don't forget to say thank you to all your parents and your teachers, okay? Thanks. Gary?
It is rewarding to see some ideas come to life. I remember a number of years ago when we had community conversations around the district, and this was the result of those community conversations. Parents and the public and teachers wanted to see diversity in the way that we provide learning to students, and so we're seeing that happen, and it doesn't always, sometimes we get a lot of good ideas and so on, but it's tough to take the ideas to actual action, and it's rewarding to see that and to hear the results. A couple of comments on overall the whole our whole magnet approach. One, I'm just so glad to see the engagement of the students and they're learning in a diverse way. I think all of the programs seem to generate that the students are more engaged, and I see that as a real a positive. Learning can never stop, and it's one of the concerns that we don't have enough engaged students. It isn't just getting through graduation, but they have to be lifelong learners in this 21st century. And so when we see young kids engaged in their learning and want to go to school and so engaged with their learning, they're on the way to achieving that 21st century. The comment about it's because of the way that we're teaching and the way they're learning, building relationships, and that is so key to having successful students, is to build those relationships. And it seems that these programs are enabling the opportunities for the teachers and the students to develop relationships. And as I said, we saw at Kennedy isn't just with the adults, but it's relationships with each other. And fourth, and the last, is the 21st century learning that the students are gaining. But the thing I picked up today is it isn't just learning the skills, they're using the skills. And it's when you use the skills that you've learned that they really become embedded in your life. So again, congratulations to all those that are doing this innovative work and this great work, and I look forward to the future as we expand and strengthen these programs.
Any other comments, Raphael?
Yep, just had a couple of quick comments. And this is something that I see and I really love seeing. It's been a long time since I was in college or studying at the University of Iowa, and seeing the opportunities that you guys as students you have, I could not have ever dreamed in elementary school. And I went to school in a very small town in Iowa. To be able to have the opportunities that you guys have. So I'm a parent. I have a daughter that's a 5th grader, a son that's an 8th grader, and another son that's a 10th grader. So they've kind of made their way along, and being able to share the experiences that you guys have, the opportunities that you guys have, and the choices that you have to be able to participate in these programs. And for parents to have those choices, that's a really big deal. I think gone are the days where I think maybe we remember being in a school meant you sit at a desk, do your work on your notebook, or you have your planner, you go to and from. Those days are gone. Just hearing the fact that now you might not even have a bell. You have extra time to do what you need to do. You have opportunities to learn life skills and to have life experiences that you'll remember and you'll be able to, do again down the road. To hear about the opportunities with projects and doing things within the community at Kenwood, and to be able to lead those things, to understand that and to know that you can make a difference. You yourself, that's a big deal. That's a really important skill. So I'm excited about that. As a parent and as a board member, I'm excited to see this transformation that's occurring within our district with the programming that we offer, and seeing that our programs are a little bit newer, and as they move further along, they're going to even have a greater impact, and seeing what those results are going to be down the road into high school. I mean, it's a big thanks we have to give to our board for kind of having that foresight, but then also for parents for taking taking a risk, so to speak, to say, yeah, you know what? Here's what our school's going to do. We'll go ahead and do it. We'll participate in it, and to have faith and trust in our board, in our district, in our teachers, and our administrators. It's a really big deal. So I want to commend all the students for being there, parents for backing that effort, having that faith and trust, and for all our teachers and administrators for doing a good job to implement those programs. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Great. And again, I think as we move forward, if any of you have further ideas, comments, things that you think that we can do better, all of us as board members, our emails are on the website. We're here. We're volunteers to try and make this district the best it can be for all of the kids out there and for our staff as well. So bring that feedback to us, and certainly Dr. Buck is here and leading the charge on all of it. So thank you again so much. We're very proud of each and every one of you. Yes.
I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers in our district. The work that you do is tremendous. I happened to be taking a walk on Saturday and walked by Franklin Middle School, and in the middle of the day, on that beautiful Saturday, was Lucas, the principal of Franklin, raking the leaves out from under all his bushes. He had his truck there, and he had his leaf blower, and we just want to recognize all of our teachers and administrators who also volunteer in our schools. Thank you.
I'm calling you, Lucas, the next time my yard needs raked. So it's probably illegal for me to do that, but that's good. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, now I am just going to tell you all that we only have 2 short things left on here. So if you could stick with us for just one moment. So this is the board governance part. So, and this should go fairly quick. So on our agenda for board governance, we have an item regarding the policy manual. And with the board's allowance, I would like to ask us to table that until we get a little bit further into some discussions as a board about that particular regulation and change. So unless I hear opposal to tabling that item, we will go ahead and table it. So is there any objection to doing that? Okay, thank you very much on that. Next, the board will move into a closed session for litigation purposes. Would one of the board members read the motion for that?
Sure. I move the Board of Education hold a closed session on Monday, April 24th, 2017 to discuss strategy with district legal counsel in matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation as provided in Chapter 21.51C of the Code of Iowa.
And I'll just say for the students in the audience, that means that we're going to have lawyers involved. So that's not as much fun as you might think. So is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Great, and this is a roll call vote.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Meisterling.
Aye.
Director Humbles.
Aye.
Director Westerkamp.
Aye.
President Laverty.
Aye, and with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much again for being here.